My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and today's topic is going to be why weight loss isn't the hard part, it's keeping it off. And so women don't regain weight because they're weak, okay? They regain weight because their self-image was never upgraded. So, okay, let's talk about the fear that a lot of women don't talk about, but this has actually been a really big topic with my coaching clients, and rightfully so. It's fair that all of a sudden you have lost all this weight that you had been trying to lose for, years, some of them decades, some of them their entire life. And so, okay, cool. Now you have a new problem. The new problem is this fear that no one really talks about. And I think it's because a lot of women just never get there. But okay, great. You've hired a coach such as myself. You've seen all these amazing results. And now what? So we're going to dive into this because this is the real fear that no one talks about. And it's that fear of gaining the weight back. So many women live in a constant anxiety after weight loss, and this is the fear that keeps them stuck. It keeps you rigid. It keeps you self-sabotaging. And this is where I want to bring in a really awesome book that, I read probably almost 2 decades ago called Psycho-Cybernetics. And you will always return. This is what he says. Dr. Maltz says, you will always return to the level of your self-image. So you will always return to the level of your self-image, whether this is weight loss, finances, career, relationships. So remember, this topic will be able to go to all facets of your life. So the self-image is a thermostat. This is what Dr. Maltz's core idea in the book is, that people discover unconsciously that you return to familiar outcomes. This is where, when someone is struggling and they desperately want out of the struggle, yet somehow they always find themselves always in another struggle. Have you ever had that friend or colleague, or, maybe it's yourself and maybe you need this awareness that you always have a problem, that something is always going on, or you're always busy. You're always fighting a new storm. These are common themes. And so here's the deal. If you're a woman who still sees herself as a woman who struggles with weight loss, or a woman who always regains her weight, or a woman who can't maintain her results, your nervous system will eventually correct yourself back to your normal. So the thing I want you to take away from this is weight gain is not failure. It's a self-image correction. It means you haven't caught back up. This is why so many times in my coaching program, I would love for this journey to only be 6 months. I wish you would just come in, drop all this weight, and all of a sudden you're a new woman. And for some women, that absolutely happens. But I can tell you more likely than not, I have women who are going to work with me a good year, 2 years plus, and different things come up in different capacities. Now, the cool thing is you're going to lose majority of your weight first, but then there are new situations, new goals, new things that are going to emerge. And part of this is your self-image. It takes a second to change. Okay. So why do women self-sabotage after success? Women expect this sabotage to happen before results. Okay. So it's almost like you're asking for it in a way. So in reality, your sabotage happens after you see that scale go down, after you get those compliments, and almost yourself, you're like dismissive to those compliments instead of just accepting them, after the attention changes. This has been one where I've seen this with clients where they always have a problem. And it's almost like that's how they gain attention. And it's a very important thing to understand that, whether you're seeing results or you're having a storm go on in your life, that you're getting the same coaching and support. And it's important to recognize like, ooh, okay, I don't want this kind of attention. I have always just observed people and watched people, and it's amazing how, we've watched a family just crisis after crisis after crisis, and it's like they just trade turns. They trade the next person for the next person to the next person, because here's what happens after you lose weight is your body actually feels different. It's unfamiliar. It maybe even feels undeserved. I have had to work heavily with women on a GLP-1 who quote unquote feel like they're cheating. And I'm sitting here like, what in the world? Like, we finally have a really, really cool tool. Now, you can choose whether you want to use it or not. You can think what you want to think about it. To me, it is purely a tool. It's a tool in our toolbox that we can use, we can safely use. To the woman who just came in my DMs that said everybody's going to die, I was like, holy moly, you're so uneducated. All good. I tend to get some crazies every now and again, and it just keeps you on your toes, I guess. But here's the brain's job. Your brain's job is to keep you safe and not necessarily happy. So your brain's job is to keep you safe. And what feels safe is the familiar. And even if the familiar is not what you want. So if you have been in the struggle for a hot second, that is familiar. It is different to not be in the struggle. This is no different than if you've been in financial stress and then all of a sudden you have good finances and you're sitting here like you still feel like you're in that like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have any money. I'm not going to have any money. Or you feel like you're going to lose it all again. This is more rubbing up against what is familiar, even if it's not what you want. Okay, so I hope that's making sense, because this is Dr. Maltz's principle. The brain works like a goal-seeking mechanism toward what it believes is you. So if you're consciously telling yourself that you are fit, strong, confident, sexy, clothes fit, you can wear anything in your closet. If you truly believe that, that is how we become the new version of ourselves. If we're constantly doubting, questioning, can I really do this? Is it going to come back on? Guess what? You're feeding into the old you, okay? That old you will keep you stuck. So the comfort zone is psychological, not physical. Most women think that your comfort zone equals your habits. And in truth, your comfort zone is going to be your identity. Who are you identifying as? Weight loss will threaten old coping mechanisms. If you had always gone to the pantry to solve all your stress problems, if you've always gone to a drink, Those are old coping mechanisms, old relationships. If you are always hanging out with friends that maybe aren't healthy, and this doesn't mean get rid of all your friends that aren't healthy or on the same plan, but I am going to tell you it's going to challenge you a little bit differently because they're going to still do what they're used to doing, and they're going to be a naysayer to you. Well, what are you doing all that healthy stuff over there? And trust me, the crabs in the bucket always want to pull you down. And so sometimes you do have to consider getting a new friend group, and that's not always easy. Also, old roles. So this is indicative of when you are in your career and you know you need to move on, yet you keep staying. This is the familiar, okay? But you know in your heart that you've got to move on, but you're having this hard time letting go of what's familiar, even though it's not serving you. Your excuses. Excuses are excuses, and we're never going to get anywhere. So staying lean requires tolerating a new identity. It's going to feel odd. It's going to feel different. You know, just something as simple as, I think I've shared this on a couple different podcasts or in different content, is when I got my new car, it felt odd. It didn't feel normal. I questioned, could I afford it? Now, obviously somebody thought I could, otherwise they wouldn't sell it to you, but it was unfamiliar. My parents didn't think it was a good investment. They wouldn't even say congrats or cool. Nobody would even come sit in it, if that tells you anything. And I mean, what does that do to you as a person? It makes you check yourself. You question yourself. And it really honestly took me to a year having my new car. And I'm like, this is mine. This is who I am. This is what I do now. And I love it. Okay. But it's no different. And here's why, when someone just white knuckles through weight loss, you'll fail every single time. When you're dieting without an identity change, all this is creating rigidity, fear, obsession, anxiety around food. This just keeps you in survival mode. And survival mode can't sustain transformation. This is when I get after women who chronically undereat to then binge. You know, it drives me batty. Like, cool, the scale went down, but if we don't do this all across a consistent basis, like, you're just playing the dang game. And it also kills me, the women who are constantly seeking out the next quick fix. This again is why I came out swinging so hard with supporting women on a GLP-1, because I wanted them to do it correctly. I wanted them to do this the right way, and for it to not be another quick fix. Because here's the thing. Of course, if we turn off the food chatter, if we make it so you are nauseous and cannot eat, if you're eating 800 calories a day, guess what? You're going to lose weight. Now, I'm more interested in seeing a woman change. Truly use this tool to quiet the food noise. The dual agonist has been wildly helpful in fat oxidation, specifically tirzepatide. And so for the first time, this has been so life-giving for women. It helps lower inflammation. It's helping women with MS. I mean, there's just no shortage of what this is doing. And so for anyone who's like, you know, GLP-1 is cheating, that's just very ignorant statements. And you're not understanding the science and research that has gone into this type of drug. And it's actually been researched since the 1990s. Trust me, I had to do an extensive amount of research for myself to even say, hey, cool, let's do this, let's support this. And so here's the thing. You don't change behavior by force. You change it by changing your self-image. We have to become this new version of ourselves. This new version of ourselves who doesn't go back, who doesn't slip back into old habits. Okay? The role of the mental rehearsal is another famous pillar from Dr. Maltz. So The visualization isn't fluff. It's truly neurological programming. I go into the theater of my mind all the time and visualize the things that I want. And here's the deal. Your brain doesn't distinguish real from vividly imagined. So what you can imagine can be a reality. This is something where we constantly talk to our kids about dreaming and imagining and, what have you not considered? And, what do you really want to do? And just that anything is possible. The problem is when we become adults or somewhere in adolescence, we get told by people, specifically our teachers, that there are limits. Oh no, you want a real job. You can't be a YouTuber. And I'm kind of like sitting here, yo kid, like let's figure this out rather than later. But it's an interesting thing how when we are young, very, very important people in our life will give us limits and they don't even realize it and they don't even mean to. Or will say statements like, can't you just be happy with where you're at? And it's like, wait, what? Well, I'm happy, but I can have more. So can you. And typically it's that own person's limits being put on you. So the visualization is super, super important. What you want to do is you want to visualize yourself strong. You want to identify as disciplined. You want to expect consistency. These are things that women need to put in front of them all day, every day. I am strong. I am a disciplined woman. I expect consistency out of myself. Women who gain the weight back, they replay old failures. They constantly talk about failures. They constantly talk about struggle. They constantly talk about, when I gain it all back. It's language, it's patterns, and they almost expect that I'm going to fall off because I always have. That is very, very, very tough language. So what you mentally practice is what you physically live. So every single day, even if it isn't true today, if you see yourself as a strong, confident, disciplined, consistent woman, pretty soon that's going to be what happens. But if you constantly are worried, fretting, scared, well, guess what? That's what's going to happen. So your weight loss must include an identity training piece. So when I coach a woman, it goes much more beyond calories, macros, workouts. Yes, you have to have those pieces. Those pieces absolutely matter. We have to train ourselves to self-trust, to consistently identify, to emotionally regulate ourselves, to keep our nervous system safe. I constantly talk with women about controlling their state, to take control of their neurology, using heat, using cold, exposure to help them see themselves in control, to use breath work. Because maintenance requires calm confidence. It requires just you living in this new space that's honestly probably foreign. So the new normal has to be installed. So Dr. Maltz emphasizes in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics, that you need to create a new baseline. And this new baseline for your life, this is what I call the new standard. And this requires your time. That's again why it isn't just 6 months typically for a woman to truly adhere and get to her ultimate results and to do it for life. It takes repetition. It takes feeling safe. It takes reinforcement day after day after day that, hey, you can have a shitstorm going on in your world, but guess what, girl? You can still take care of yourself. Okay? Because women must live as the new version long enough Otherwise, the old version just keeps pulling you back. You have to be this successful, confident, disciplined, strong woman. This is why a maintenance phase, and I preach this is step 3 of my program, is we have to get you to maintenance. It cannot be an afterthought. Oh, I'll do that on my own. It's like, no, girl, that's when we dive deeper into the mental programming of things, because I have to get you into a mindset of we're losing this weight for the last time, but there is a new mindset that we're going to have to keep this off. You have to become this new woman. And it helps to have someone calling you out, helping you with a helping hand to say, hey, like, you're reverting back to old patterns. What are we doing? Okay. So why women don't trust themselves, and I want to share with you how to fix it, is these past failures just destroy us. They destroy self-image. And women will say, I can't lose weight, or I just can't keep it off. And that just becomes a command that you are expecting in your head. And so my role as a coach is I've got to help build your confidence. I've got to reinforce your identity daily. Some days I feel like I'm a broken freaking record over here. And we have to remove this shame from quote unquote slip-ups. We don't fail if we learn. We don't fail if we learn, okay? So you have to understand that this is recovery, not perfection. How quickly can you get back up? So in closing, the truth that sets women free is you don't keep the weight off by trying harder. You keep it off by becoming someone this is just normal. Maintenance is an effort. This is just who I am now. I don't think about going and doing a workout. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Guess what? I'm doing a workout. So when a woman no longer identifies as someone who struggles, the struggle ends, period. So if you've lost weight before, but you don't trust yourself to keep it, this is not a discipline issue. This is a self-image issue. And the cool thing is you can fix this. So when this message hits and you're saying, hey, I need to do this deeper work. This isn't about some cute diet, meal plan, whatever, workouts for 30 days. This is about truly changing your identity. Let's do this powerful work. All right, ladies, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.